Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Warther. I've been in this HVAC industry for over 35 years and held many different titles over my career. My background includes working with companies like the Kroger Company, the Carrier Corporation, and Danfoss. I've also worked in distribution, spending several years at the Habiger Corporation, so hey to the Habiger folks if you're listening in. Now, some of you may be asking, why are we here today talking about life after R410A? I mean, didn't we just go through the R22 to R410A transition? I know, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but R410A systems were actually introduced in the early 1990s. And the last R22 charged piece of equipment, at least fully charged R22, were built before January of 2010. So, R410A refrigerant in an air conditioning application has been around approaching 30 years. However, it wasn't too long after R410A was introduced that people realized that R410A had a global warming potential issue and that GWP impact was going to be an environmental problem in the future. Well, the future has arrived. So to keep you interested in staying for our entire session, I have a few questions for you to ask yourself. The first one is, do you know the differences between an A1 refrigerant like R410A and an A2L refrigerant like R454B? Question 2, did you know A2L refrigerants cannot be retrofitted into an existing R410A system? And finally, did you know people in North America have already been buying, installing, and servicing AC systems containing low GWP A2L refrigerants? So unless you feel 100% confident in answering these questions, we invite you to continue listening to our session, which is a high-level overview of our training program. This training program will provide information so everyone will be able to provide answers to these questions and others regarding life after R410A. So, this slide here shows what we would discuss within a typical training session regarding the next generation of lower GWP refrigerants for air conditioning and commercial refrigeration applications. We would briefly touch on the refrigerant history, and we would give an update on the latest regulatory requirements. This information will help the contractor explain to their customer what is the environmental reason driving the refrigerant change, as well as the timing of the transition. However, most of our discussions would be centered around the next generation of lower GWP refrigerants. Now, Chemours and industry partners are helping to explain to the HVAC industry that many of the new lower GWP refrigerants that have been identified as replacements for refrigerants such as R410A are classified by ASHRAE as an A2L refrigerant. So a portion of our discussion would involve explaining the similarities as well as the differences between an A1, an A2L, and an A3 refrigerant classification. We would discuss tools, installation, and service practices, as well as what the new refrigerant cylinders will look like and how to properly handle, reclaim, or dispose of the new cylinders. We believe this is an opportunity to get to the contractor and dealers to go back to the basics, to make sure they're following the best practices, ensuring their installations and servicing of HVAC equipment is done with safety in mind for both the contractor as well as the homeowner. And now, we do believe the equipment installation and servicing won't be all that different than what a good contractor has already put into place. It's just that the industry gets a chance to reset some of the bad habits that tend to creep in over time. Case in point, remember how diligent everyone was on their installation and servicing when first installing an R410A system? So, continuing on with our review, In the training program, we would also give the latest updates on transporting and warehousing of the new refrigerants. For example, the contractor transporting these new refrigerants or equipment containing A2L refrigerants to and from the job site, this falls under something called materials of trade. And things like this will be business as usual, or to say it another way, we expect no impact on the dealer. Finally, we'll get a glimpse of what dealers and contractors might see in a new air conditioning system containing a lower GWP A2L refrigerant. Now, when we look at something like a smaller unit, like a PTAC unit utilizing the lower GWP refrigerants, these units will more than likely look almost identical to an R410A design and not have any additional components. For other systems, say larger refrigerant charges in them, the HVAC equipment manufacturer will be making sure that the HVAC system is the safest it can be by following the newest industry standards. And while most of what I've shown you so far is directed at distributor counter people or contractors, Chemours can also set up meetings with distributor principals and their management to internally discuss the latest information on warehousing, transporting, and overall preparation for the new lower GWP A2L refrigerants so our business partners can feel comfortable as we all navigate through this transition. You may not have known this, but Chemours has teamed up with the National Hockey League to help ice rinks across North America convert to lower GWP Opteon refrigerants. We look forward to hearing from you about training opportunities for lower GWP refrigerants. Contact one of our regional account managers shown here on this slide. For future training opportunities, you can send me an email at jeff.warther@chemours.com. We appreciate you tuning into our showcase. Take care.